I want to go to a gay bar and see if we can find that cat. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Vacant Hour Podcast.
We're back.
From
it's 2019.
The dead. We already did 2019.
Yeah, but it is.
Oh,
it is 100% 2019.
You got an eyelash. Give me. Make a wish. No, you. Okay. What'd you wish for?
I can't tell you.
Tell everybody.
For
For RJ to put his fucking leg away.
For RJ to stop stinking.
Oh shit! He looked at us. Oh no, he's looking cute, boys. Okay, let's just get on with the podcast.
All right.
So today we're talking about
exactly.
Every time
We're going to be talking. Okay. Why? Every time we start the podcast and he's in the room, he starts crying. He does not like podcasts.
Apparently he doesn't like podcasts. He's like, who the fuck are you guys talking to?
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about some creepy true stories and conspiracy theories.
You're really ruining my vibe, guy.
Yeah, guy. He's like, it's just too scary. Please do not talk about it.
You need to go potty?
I don't want to know.
What? You want to go outside? Come on, go outside. Then shut the fuck up.
Do you want to restart?
Yeah.
Alright. Hey guys, and welcome back to the podcast.
The Vacant Hour Podcast.
2019.
Again.
And we're new boot goofing this year.
We are new boot goofing this year. It's getting
Are
wild
those
so
boots? Those are new boots.
far. I'm not wearing shoes at all.
Oh. Anyways, today's topic is going to be all about the creepiest stories and conspiracies for your little big old brains.
Yeah, we thought we'd do another conspiracy theory podcast because we had a lot of people watch the last one, and maybe that means
I think they're the most interesting thing to listen to. I don't know. Makes you think, I guess.
It makes you think about a lot of things. Like, I think when I listen to podcasts about, like, conspiracy theory, it just makes me think, like...
Or just crazy true stories that you have never heard about because it happened way back then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you hear about it and you're like, that really happened?
Yeah, surprisingly it did.
So.
But that's pretty much what this podcast is going to be about. We did a little bit of research and figured out a couple. We're going to do 2 each, and hopefully it aligns up with 30 minutes. But if not, we'll probably figure something else to talk about. But do you want to catch everybody up on the week that we had?
Yeah.
What?
So, as we talked about last podcast, Dylan enrolled in school, but now he has started school. We today actually bought him a chalkboard and wrote his schedule down.
I'm an elementary school, boys.
No, we both I have a whiteboard and he has a chalkboard, and we just wrote our little schedules down.
Boys, if anybody agrees with me, she wanted me to get a corkboard, but I think chalkboards are just a little bit more aesthetically pleasing.
That's what you said you wanted first, and then he goes, a chalkboard.
Well,
can I just say how hard it was to find chalk for this board?
apparently all the chalk's sold out. Everybody just ripping
Everybody
up chalk.
knew Boo Goofing, I guess.
New year, new chalk, I guess.
New year, new January.
Yeah, everybody at the store was like, college, huh? And I'm like, yeah. Sorry. Is that a problem? You want to fucking fight? And instead of pulling me out of Target really fast.
We hung out with the boys this week.
Oh yeah, we went to
Played
a
some
bar.
Pool, yeah.
Except I don't drink.
I played pool for the first time in forever.
Yeah, that's the first time you've ever played?
No, but it's been a while.
When was the last time you actually went out to a bar other
And
than
I don't
when you
think
went to Europe?
I would say just Europe.
Just Europe? That's I've been to bars a lot when I was a lot younger, but It's my first time going with friends. None of my friends drink, so.
Yeah, it was really fun. It would be even cooler to go to a club and do some dancing.
Why?
Some dancing.
You can see a cat.
Just for the experience. I've been to a club, but Dylan hasn't. And I would love for him to go.
I want to go to a gay bar and see if we can find that cat. You know, drinking Cosmopolitans.
Vodka cran.
Yeah, his vodka cran.
Give him his fucking vodka cran.
No, but that's pretty much it. I'm like we talked about last week. I still haven't got my fucking computer. It's been like a week later. Apparently Newegg is like fucked up my whole transit and everything. I don't know when it's coming. I got a hard drive though. I have the hard drive and the wireless card,
the brain.
But nothing else. The brain.
The thing.
What?
That runs it.
I never got the CPU.
What they give you though?
It's just a hard drive.
Oh.
Just put
No, the thing that Justin gave you.
Oh, they gave me a power supply.
Yeah, the brain.
No, it's not really the brain. It's just
the thing that helps run it.
The heart. That'd probably be the heart, I think.
Right. Well. That's
But yeah. So hopefully soon we can get my computer and then we can start making some more videos because my laptop's not doing so well.
Yeah, we just haven't really had time to record because we've been really busy. Dylan's been really busy at work. I've been busy with just getting things ready for school because nursing school requires a lot out of you boys.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. But no, we've been really busy and he's been busy obviously with school, figuring out his situation with monies for school and just working his life away.
Yeah, I am, dude. I had to work this whole weekend. Said today I had to go into work for 4 hours, I think, and then
we came home and slept the day away.
Yeah, I did. I don't think we woke up until like 4 o'clock.
I was like, "Hey, it's 4," and he goes, "Well, wake me up when it's 5." And I'm like, "Get up."
She goes, "It's almost 5 anyway." And I go, "Well, good thing, because I can get a few more minutes in." And she got mad
But
at
you
me.
know what's funny is, like, if I don't wake him up, then he'll be like, "Why didn't you wake me up?"
Hey, I wouldn't have done that today. I was really tired.
Oh, well, the more you know.
We've
been eating lots of chocolate strawberries.
Yeah, it's Vanessa's new favorite thing.
Do you want to tell him what happened yesterday with the old man?
Oh, yeah. So, just for you sexist old men that listen to the podcast.
Yeah, get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get out of here, babe.
Yeah, you babe. No, we were going to Safeway to go and buy some chocolate-covered strawberries. And we were walking to my car, and this old man's backing out of this spot. And
he goes, "Hey, ma'am."
He goes, ma'am.
And I turn around, because I'm like, is he talking to me? I kept, like, just turning around looking at him.
And
like,
this man is like the most southern draw I've ever heard.
And I just
He's
go,
like, ma'am.
Yeah,
ma'am.
but once I'm looking right at him, he goes, "Is that your boyfriend?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Let me do the. I'll be the man, you be you, okay? Ma'am, is that your boyfriend?
Yeah.
Well, can you afford to buy you some pants so you don't freeze to death?
And then we just awkwardly kind of laughed and got into the car.
I'm turning around, like, when he's talking to Vanessa, I'm turned and looked at him, I'm like, if you say some shit to my girlfriend, I'm gonna fuck you up. And then he says that shit, and I just laughed and turned around and got in my car. But he was, like, staring at us the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know why me wearing a skirt would concern him. Like, it hasn't snowed. It's just been, like, cold, but not super cold. I don't know. I feel like old people just don't get fashion.
Well, and here's a couple things. One, I have gotten mad at her about that because it does get cold. And I'm like, you don't have to be looking cute. Just wear pants. And she's like, no, I want to look cute. So, one, that's her choice. Two, she is a woman. She dresses herself. I can't tell her what to do. I'll make suggestions and say, you're going to regret that later. But I can't make her dress the way I want her to. So, that guy's being fucking
He's back in.
sexist bitch.
Yeah, but.
And then to be honest, it bothered me for like an hour because I couldn't stop thinking. I was like, was that an insult? What? I don't understand. I'm so confused. What possessed that man to say that?
I think just like old people in general are always like that. They always do that. They always have something to say. You know what I mean, to younger people. Yeah. Like, oh, you got rips in your jeans.
That's true. They
Did
always
you
have
buy
to
them
do digs
like
at
that? Blah blah blah. You know, stuff like that. And it's like, please just don't ever talk to me. I don't know. But they're an older generation.
That's part of our conspiracy. This is old people conspiracy theory.
Yeah, why are they so fucking annoying? Just kidding. Old people. Why don't they mind their business?
Yeah. We'll
a thread.
A thread. No, so you want to start off by doing the creepy stuff? Let's start the creepy stories or conspiracy theories. Should I start?
I can start.
Okay. I think she's a little more organized than me. I can just sit here and think about what I am doing. I just got all the weird ones.
All right, everyone. Get ready for this one. Because when I first heard this story, I was shook. I couldn't believe that this was real. And it makes... I'll just get into it. But basically, the story is about a doctor who fell in love with his dying patient and continued to love her even after death.
Damn.
So, let's get into it. This doctor's name was Karl Tanzler, and he was a German-born radiologist at the Marine Hospital Service in Key West, Florida. And he developed a crush on a young Cuban girl with tuberculosis, which was big in big in the 1800s, I would say. Tuberculosis was, sorry.
The 1800s?
But basically, she was transferred over to this hospital. She was dying. She didn't really have people come visit her. She was lonely. And he just developed this crush on her. And let me note that this is not a love story. This is really creepy.
Okay.
Because he was obsessed with her. And she did not want anything to do with him. Her name was Elena, yeah.
Elena, maybe?
Elena. But she went by Helen. So I'm just going to call her Helen. So let's get into the story because it gets freaking creepy, guys. So he would basically he would creep her out, and she'd always tell him like, hey, like, leave me alone, stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up no, he was trying to save her, so he would do anything to save her because he was convinced that this girl was the one for him. And she would tell her family and be like, hey man, like, this guy, like, I'm scared, blah blah blah. So she ended up dying. There was nothing you could do. And he was like, idea popped in his head. So he's all like, because he's pretty rich, he was like, he went to the family and was like, I will, because they were poor, so she was going to be in an unmarked grave, blah blah blah. So he's like, I'll pay for all the expenses. I'll have her like what do you call them, like kind of a mausoleum type thing, but just for one person.
Oh, no, I see what you're saying, yeah.
Just like a big fancy grave for her that she'd be buried in. They had the ceremony. The family came. You know, they were, you know, what are they going to do? Say no to having this rich man pay for their daughter's funeral and all the expenses. So that happened. Everything was good. Nothing suspicious. Then...
I knew there was going to be a catch. There's always a catch.
He goes in, sneaks into the grave, takes her body, and he has her. So he's like loving on her.
Wait, what?
He's
like, let me build this mausoleum that only I have the keys to.
Yeah, he only had the keys to them. So he was the only person. His sister thought this was really weird.
Of course she would. I hope she
was
would.
like, what the heck? But she didn't know the extent. She just knew that, you know, this guy fell in love with her, but he had her body. And what do corpses do?
Decompose.
Exactly. So,
shit. You could be.
As she started, you know, going further into the decomposition, process, like her limbs would fall off. He'd tape, sew them, whatever, tape them, put them back together
her
onto
arms,
her body.
Her body parts or skin.
Just everything was falling off, breaking off. And so what he would do was he started to make kind of ways to keep her feeling more like alive.
So like an embalming fluid?
Papers in her. No, because then she was just falling apart. He would stuff papers in her. He would... her skin was falling off, so he would start kind of putting wax or paper mache over her to make her look exactly the same, but she didn't. And there's a picture out there. Go look it up. It's very creepy.
Is there actually a picture of her in the thing?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why that picture's out there. So this is what she looks like. I'll just show you.
Uh-huh.
And then I'll show you afterward.
Oh no.
If you guys want to go look this up, you can.
Should I link it?
No, it's okay.
I won't link it. Nobody comments on these videos.
So
that's just the weirdest thing in the world.
So as he's doing this, her sister is like, what the heck? Finds out he has her body.
I hope that was her real response. Just, what the heck? Not freaking out.
What the heck? What are you doing, boy? No. So he actually had sexual relations with this corpse. He put some stuff there to make it feel like a real human body. Real
woman in parts.
It was very, very weird. This guy kept her and would just treat her as if she was still alive. He was in love with her. When her family found out, they were like, this is weird. They called people. They went over to investigate it. And what I find is kind of disrespectful is these people had a viewing for her body because it was so crazy. You know what I mean? This guy made her into what she looks like now, just a wax doll figure, and he was using her to... He was having sex with the body. Using her to
get off.
He was treating her like she was human. And they took pictures. They allowed people to come in and look at her. And then finally, they took her away. And that made him very angry. So what they did was they put her in an unmarked grave so that he would not be able to find her. And he then moved... I can't remember where.
He didn't go to jail or anything for this?
No.
What? What?
So he moved away. They were just dude, just leave her alone. Let her rest in peace. But there is a conspiracy out there that he did end up finding her body and had moved her and traveled away and continued their relationship.
Their relation, as if it was a consensual relationship.
I just think that's so creepy. This girl obviously doesn't like you, dies, you take her body, and just keep on living with her.
It's the Romeo and Juliet of the 1800s.
Wow, true love.
True love. Are you gonna show me the picture, or what? Oh, yeah. Do I have to Google this?
It is a very...
I'll give everybody watching a gauge on whether or not they should actually look this up. Because I'm a pretty good... I think I have pretty high tolerance of weird, nasty shit. Oh my god! Why does that look like...
Can you believe he did that?
Did he draw them eyebrows? Damn, he's pretty good with them eyebrows. God damn.
It is the scariest
thing. It looks like, what was his name? From Halloween? Is Michael Myers from Halloween? Mike Myers?
So what he would do is cover the rotting skin with silk and plaster, held her bones together with wires and coat hangers, replaced her eyes with glass, and slept with the corpse for 7 years.
Oh my god.
Then she was found and transferred to an unmarked grave where he could not find her, but people say that he did find her. But this picture is just...
It looks like the Michael Myers mask. It looks terrifying.
Just imagine someone being that obsessed with you. And just taking your body.
You have a brother. How would you react if you found that?
Oh, I would be so angry.
Would you just be like, what the heck?
Yeah, what the heck? What the heck are you doing with that body?
He says it in black and white because you're in the 1800s.
Yeah. It'd be me mouthing the words and then the caption going, what the heck?
Or don't they do the action and then it's a scene of just a black screen with letters across it?
No, I just thought that was like the craziest thing to me, that someone would go to the extent of that being obsessed with this girl.
Babies, I do it for you.
Wow.
True love.
7 years. 7 years with a corpse.
Man, that sounds like a reality TV show. 7
Right.
years with a corpse.
Do you want
to? Yeah. So, I went on the weird conspiracy theory train and decided to go with one that I thought was just really weird. And Vanessa kind of heard it because I was watching a little video on it. And it's that the moon... That thing in the sky
is haunted.
It's haunted. No,
it's haunted.
It's not real.
Moon's not real.
Moon's not real. It's not real. No,
a ghost.
Apparently, because this just people get so out of control with this stuff. Because first it's the moon landing's fake, and now it's starting. There are people that believe that the moon isn't even real. I was seeing that a couple people were talking about that the moon was a hologram that the U.S. government uses to freak everybody out. I don't know why. That seems like the dumbest one. The second one that's got a little bit more of a grip for people is that the moon is a alien space station, and that back in the 70s, I think it was, when I think it was during the Cold War, the Russian government had two of their scientists that used to work in the cosmonaut program write papers about how, because of the impact size of the craters on the moon, they believe that the moon surface was only 2 miles thick, so that it would be hollow. And the thing is that in space, there's really no such thing as a hollow planet, because if it were to get hit or blah blah blah, it would have a dent in it, or it'd be crushed, or you know what I mean, by its own gravity. So they believe that it's a giant space structure built by aliens. Mm-hmm. And another reason that their thought process behind this is that apparently there are stories from back in the day that never describe the moon, or never... Which weirds me out about this. So, if there's a book that was written and there was no moon in it, how would you know that there's no moon that exists in the sky? Maybe they just never mentioned it. Because what old-timey fucking guy from the past is going to be like, it is the year 2 and there is no moon.
Where is the moon?
I do not know what a moon is, but I know there is not one. But
and also it's haunted.
And it's also haunted. No, but another thing is that there was a story apparently that was written in the book. They didn't really cite this very well, but that there are stories of people that say the moon popped up out of nowhere. It just came into orbit and was there. And some of the people that are so weirded out of this don't understand the fact that the moon is orbit locked. You know how we only ever see one side of the moon because its orbit is such that it constantly goes around the Earth.
I just can't believe this story, because wasn't it even the natives had stories of how the sun works and how the moon works.
Yeah, and then being gods and blah, blah, blah.
And they always mention the moon.
Yeah, that's the thing that kills me is that I don't understand these people that do these weird conspiracy theories that actually believe this shit. Like, it's like...
But I do believe the moon's haunted.
I do, yeah. The moon has to be haunted. It's
It
got
has
a
to
lot
be.
of bad vibes to it, so I think the moon is haunted and made of cheese.
And there's a man on the moon.
Yeah.
And it's haunted.
And it's Morty's teacher or whatever
Moon's
that
haunted.
thing was from Rick and Morty. Yeah, there's some meme that was going around on Twitter that some astronaut comes flying back from Earth and lands on the Earth, and he goes, "Dude, where have you been?" And he goes, "Moon's haunted." And he's like, "What?" And he comes back with a gun.
And he loads guns and he goes, "Ch-ch, moon's haunted."
Gets to the space station and flies back to the moon.
Like, what? I think about that a lot.
It's just it's so wild, some of the conspiracy theories. Because I like to talk about the weird ones because they're just so unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like, how do you
How do you look at the moon and go, "That's not real"?
That ain't real. Like, just, I don't know.
What person out there?
If you don't believe in the moon, hit me up in the comments, man. I really want to just pick your brain apart. Like, I'll write about you on like my English essay. Yeah, turn your location on.
These hands about to be good.
Send me your coordinates on the moon. All right, so I think that was pretty much that one.
Okay. So we're going to be talking about another scary story, a real one as well. Just as bad as the first one, if not worse. So this is the story behind the LaLaurie Mansion in New Orleans.
Ooh.
It is the most haunted mansion. So, LaLaurie comes from a real person. She was named Madame Daphne LaLaurie.
Dang.
And she was obviously very wealthy. And what's strange about her was she was married 3 times. Very strange, right? But 2 of her husbands died in strange causes. But the 3rd marriage was the most suspicious. Alright, so she was known as to everyone basically, a very nice lady. She had slaves, so this was back in
the that was back in the back days, like
so,
the bad
this
days.
was bad. This was back in the 1830s, whatever. So it wasn't that uncommon to have slaves in that day and age. I know that's very bad, but that's the truth of America back then, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. She had slaves.
Knowing people, they probably deny that shit happened too.
Yeah, they were like, slaves, they're haunted.
They're haunted. They're not real.
Moons, never existed. No, they did. So she had slaves. She was obviously a very wealthy woman. She lived in a mansion in New Orleans, and she was always known, like I said, as the nice lady. She seemed to treat her slaves very well, but this was far from the truth. So one day, there was cause for concern because a little girl, one of her slaves, who was very young, was seen, who jumped to her death out of the top window of her mansion. So then this caused an uproar. They were like, what the heck? What the heck?
What the heck?
Why'd she jump?
Every person in the 1800s goes, what the heck, when there's a tragedy?
What the heck? No, I'm explaining this how I would explain it because, but so people were like, what the heck? What's going on? Started to question her because her slaves started coming out saying that we are not being treated that well. There are various things that are happening. A lot of slaves are killing themselves. And because Madame LaLaurie is the cruelest person, she was named the cruel mistress of the haunted house, apparently.
Sounds like some fucking Disney movie or
what?
The cruel mistress of the haunted house.
So she was said to abuse her slaves and her own 2 daughters. And so one day she threw a party. A huge big old party in her mansion, right? Let me just set the scene. there was a slave in the kitchen, and she was chained to the stove or the oven, whatever, because she was forced to cook, and then a fire started. I'm not going to explain every single detail, but I'm just going into, like, why this is such a crazy story. But she was chained to the oven, and a fire started, and LaLaurie and her husband decided this is go time. They're going to disappear. They disappeared. They moved somewhere. Let me make sure I'm getting this information quick. Yeah, so they moved out of New Orleans when the fire started. Like, they were like, okay, goodbye, we're leaving, because they were scared of what they would, the people would find in their mansion. And what the police found, and everybody else found, I think it was a few people before the police showed up, they found their experiments on the slaves.
Really?
So their mouths were sewed shut. There was some sewed together. There was slaves, like, covered in their own feces. They were treated bad. And it was all in this room. There were some kind of experiments that LaLaurie was doing in her mansion. And the slave who was chained up to the stove, that said that she started the fire because she was scared of what LaLaurie would do. Mm-hmm. And she didn't want anybody else to get hurt. And those slaves in the other room were begging for them to be killed because how painful would it be to have your eyes sewed shut, your mouth sewed shut, sewed to other people, and they were just horrified. So immediately the police were like, we need to search for these people. Like, who could do this, a monster. So they go, and this is all true, guys. Just so you know. To
be honest, I'm surprised that, like, the police even gave a shit, because back then slaves were treated like
there
shit.
was rules set. So apparently, obviously there's going to be rules, because if they're...
Murder is murder.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, not good. So, they were searching for them, couldn't be found. They never got charged. The mansion was burnt to a crisp. And so this is after Nicolas Cage actually tried to buy the mansion. I think he bought it, but then...
Nicolas Cage?
Yeah. So, but then he...
Let's just do his own experiments, I guess.
No. I think he was just intrigued, or I think they used it for a set or something like that.
Huh.
So, yeah. They fled the scene, and so soon after the fire, the house was converted into an apartment complex, and a tenant was murdered. However, the unusual nature of his death suggests ties to paranormal activity.
What?
In the mid-19th century, the LaLaurie Mansion functioned as an all-girls school where students often experienced bizarre and random physical assault. Today, the LaLaurie Mansion is stately as spooky and remains an iconic New Orleans landmark. So before all that, the LaLaurie Mansion was actually purchased later on after Nicolas Cage kind of, sold it or something, whatever he did with it, was purchased by a family, and they would not let anybody go into the mansion. They would not talk about what happened in the mansion. I don't know, but I think you can explore it today, I'm pretty sure, but that's horrific.
Yeah.
I would say that's a real story that it boggles my mind, because, like, what were they doing? Like, why was she mistreating these slaves? Why was she...
I don't know.
Like, it goes beyond mistreating them. Like, we know that they were lashed. We know that they were hung. But being alive and being, having their limbs ripped off and their eyes sewn shut and just being sewn together, like, what,
I don't know. That's terrible. I can understand, like, how people would be like that.
Yeah.
So I'll get into my last one. I think we just hit the 30-minute mark, so I'll try to wrap this one up quick because it's another kind of like terrible. It's really bad. So this last one, I did a little bit of research on people who believe that the Holocaust is fake. So this one boggles my fucking mind because I just don't understand how the extermination of an entire people can be just thought of. Oh, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. And the reason why people think it's bullshit is just anti-Semitism, the thing that started the whole Holocaust. So many people blamed the Jewish people for many of their problems back in the day because I'm not sure if it was Catholics, I think, aren't allowed to handle money, so they made the Jews do it. And so that's where all the stereotypes about Jews came from. And in World War II, that's the problem that Hitler saw, is that Jews were wealthy, and because they were the ones that had to handle the money or handle the banks or do this and do that, and they were made the problem. So Hitler used that as his excuse to try to exterminate all of them. And a lot of people have decided to say that, oh, well, it's just the Jewish people are doing it because they want attention, or they want a reason for people to stop disliking them, or it's just totally blown out of proportion. That it wasn't all just Jewish people or pointed at Jewish people, because there is apparently no written record of Hitler saying the Jewish people specifically. But the thing that is also a terrible thought process about that, or is it even makes you even feel even more dumb that people think this way, is that the Holocaust was the most well-documented genocide in the entire world. The Nazis were so meticulous about everything they did, the maps they made of it, their designs, everything.
And the camps are still there.
And the camps.
They have the shoes. They
still have human hair there from where they shaved the people. And one of the ways that the Nazis would tell that you were Jewish, especially for males, is they would pull down your pants and see if you were circumcised. And if you were, you went to a concentration camp. And it just blows my mind because people were like, oh, there were no gas chambers, there were no fire chambers. And me personally, I went to Poland and actually got to go to Auschwitz 2 years ago. And it's some of the most disgusting things that I couldn't even imagine. I was there in December, and it was blizzarding and freezing, and I was wearing jackets and thick pants, and and
they would strip them of their clothes.
Yeah, my tour guide was apparently her grandmother was one of the survivors of Auschwitz where we were at, and she said that one of the stories was that they would strip you naked and make you walk in conditions like this across the camp. And it's terrible. And I got to go into one of the gas chambers. They showed us the shower room where they had a hole in the roof where they would drop gas into the room. And
they would do that to a lot of them, but the biggest reason was old people and people who couldn't work.
Yeah, if you couldn't work, you died. If you were old, you died.
Kids?
Children, most of the time, children would die too if they couldn't work. The thing that's the most messed up thing about it is that like when I went, they have and honestly, I think everybody should be able to experience this one because it's just a learning experience on this kind of thing can't be pushed away. A lot of people just try to be like, oh, it happened a long time ago. And it's like, yeah, it did. But we shouldn't ever forget that happened. Because that's how history repeats itself, is you just forget about it and then all of a sudden the same thing happens again. Because it's not right. And it should be remembered. And it's terrible because like when we did some of the exhibits, the Nazis used to shave people's heads and use the hair to make gloves and socks and all kinds of shit.
They would also use their skin to make lamps.
Yeah, exactly.
Bind books.
There was a whole exhibit with 1,400 pounds of human hair in a little glass case. There was one that was filled with prosthetics and like wheelchairs and stuff because as soon as you came to the camp, you had 2 ways to go. It was like left or right, and I think if you went left, you died. And most of the Jews that ended up going there near the end of the war knew that. is that they were terrified that if they went left or whatever the direction was, that they were gonna die, and
and of course they would get sick or they would get hurt, and then they'd get taken away.
Yep, if you couldn't work, you would die, and it's just so mind-boggling that some people even could say that this thing didn't exist, because there's even when the troops the American troops came and liberated the camps, there's pictures everywhere of these emaciated people. And
then they had lists of like family members, like them, if they got to America, of them trying to find
their families, see if they even survived.
Yeah.
And it's just awful. Like,
and they're survivors. They talk about it. They have the barcodes,
Yeah, I met
numbers, I mean.
I met a Holocaust survivor. My English class, we had one of the Holocaust survivors came in.
Was it barcodes or numbers?
It was numbers. They would barcodes didn't really exist back then, but it was just tattooed numbers, because you didn't have a name, you had a number. And that is honestly a scary conspiracy theory, or even just a fact that people think that way. It's scary, and it is anti-Semitic. No matter what you think about it, if you're saying that this is bullshit because the Jews want to be loved more, or want people to hate them less, that's an anti-Semitic way of thinking in the first place.
It's one thing to think that the moon isn't real because it's not hurting anyone.
It doesn't hurt. Exactly. And you're adding insult to injury. You're throwing salt in the wounds when you're saying, hey, none of this ever happened to your family. It's bullshit.
Just anything that happened that was that big as like the Holocaust or slavery.
Yeah, and
should be talked about and should be known that it did happen.
It did happen, and
it shouldn't happen again.
And it's horrible. And like just know, if you're planning on preaching shit like that, you may think in your head, oh, well, this person never went through it. And it's like, no, but there's probably repercussions or like pain that's still there. They still had to watch their grandma or something talk about this awful thing that happened to them. Mm-hmm. And this only...
And Frank's diary.
Exactly. It's like, people suffered.
It's all there, the facts.
Yeah. But apparently it didn't exist, I just don't understand how human beings think. We're the most intelligent creatures in the world, but we are like the most idiotic in the same sense, But
all that, no.
Sorry for all the sad stuff. I hope you enjoyed our conspiracy. I hope you enjoy our new little intro or podcast card. If you think it needs a little bit more, maybe I'll spice it up or add something new.
Also, if you liked these kind of podcast, let us know down below if you have a certain conspiracy or creepy story that you'd like us to talk about, or what you thought about these. Do you have any interesting things to say?
If you got any interesting stories, let us know. And
if I got any information wrong,
if we got any information wrong, just yell at us in the comments.
But be nice about it.
Well, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, tell RJ you love him because he's sleeping like 3 feet away from us. And
hit that jewel, boys.
Yeah, hit that jewel.
Hotbox your car with a vape.
All right, well, we'll let you all go. You guys have a good night, and tune in next week.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Maybe next week.